Recorded weekly here in the Casa de Pork Chop Studios. It's the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ovens, sitting alongside Clint Miller. B-Rad running the soundboard for us tonight. Gentlemen, welcome in for another episode, an abbreviated episode tonight. We're recording this on Monday for anybody that may be listening in on Tuesday or anytime later in the week. We're going to do a little bit of an abbreviated episode tonight. We're going to be out covering the Race of Champions Dirt Modified Tour out at the Yates County Speedway this week on Tuesday night. And going to be a big show out there, Clint. I know you're excited to see the mods back out on the track in Dundee. I'm excited, of course. I think it's just going to be a big crowd out there tomorrow night.
Yeah, I hope so. I think the crowd is going to be big, Mother Nature permitting, obviously. But
I already told you, don't talk about Mother Nature.
Well, just Mother Nature. I'm not talking about what she's dealing with.
I've had enough of her.
But I think the car counts are going to be big.
Yeah.
And I'm excited.
It's going to be the modifieds for the Race of Champions Dirt Modified Tour. Also going to be a sportsman show on hand.
Not points.
And non-points, but show-up points. Not a regular event for the Yates County Speedway Sportsman Division, but 25 show-up points for any sportsman guys to come out.
Yeah, I'm a little tossed on that. It's a midweek show. If somebody's not a high-dollar guy and they can only afford to race one night a week, and you're running every Friday.
But we
night.
didn't run this past week, so
yeah, no, it's.
The thing is, you look at the schedule that Dan Harpel has inherited, and I love that they've added this show this week because it kind of helps fill in where we've got this every other week, what feels like every other week kind of schedule until we get to August. So should be a great field of modifieds out there. You're going to see all the top names out there. You're going to see Stuart Friesen. You're going to see Matt Shepard. Rick Laubach, who I'm not sure has ever been to
he's never been
the Yates County Speed Plant. I don't think he's ever been out there. Gary Tompkins at one point had talked about coming out with the team that he runs for down in the southern tier in Pennsylvania. Rumors of possibly the Doctor showing up.
Hurricane.
Rumors of the Hurricane showing up. And, I mean, just in those drivers that we named right there, I mean, how could you pick a winner out of that bunch?
Ryan Godown, who's had a really good start to the season,
but popped a motor early in the season. And when I had talked to Dan on practice night, he said, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get something together to come up, but he's hoping they will.
Yeah, you're right. I haven't seen his name.
We'll see tomorrow night whether or not he's able to make it up. But it's going to be a stout field. And if you're not doing anything, remember, start time Tuesday night is 7:30 to help anybody that may be coming out of town or trying to get out of work to come over to the races. 7:30 will be the start time for those two classes tomorrow night. They should run off real quick. Everybody should be getting home at a decent time. So if you haven't got any plans for Tuesday night, bring yourself on over to the Yates County Speedway in Dundee for the Race of Champions Dirt Modified Tour. Clint, we got a lot of other racing action going on as well. One more driver I wanted to add to that list, and we just was able to confirm it today. I had heard it actually from my mother over the weekend, who knows how she gets her information, but she said, look for Alan Johnson in a Jeff Brownell Motorsports car. And sure enough, today, confirmed, of course, on the internet, which,
if it's on the internet, it's got to be true.
That's right, absolutely. And I will say I didn't see it in Race New York, so I'm thinking it's actually got some merit to it, and that's all I'm going to say. But Jeff Brownell Motorsports putting together a ride for AJ Slideways. Now, as you remember, the last time the modifieds were there, it was AJ and it was Super Matt, with Matt coming out on top, but AJ was catching him quick. So really going to be a stout field there tomorrow. Let's get to some racing action that happened this past weekend, Clint, and let's start with the Woodhull Raceway. Pretty impressive field of cars as you look through all of the divisions. The thing, and I've already seen a couple of numbers that are a little different than what was reported on race night. But anyway, let's get started with the Napa Crate Sportsman. Their 25-lap affair, they had 28 cars. Heats were taken by Jake Deegan, Chris Doherty, and Art Goodyear. The Consi was taken by Josh Sawyer, who I believe was night one's winner over
night
there
one
at
or two,
Woodhull.
he did pick up. Yep.
Early on in the season there. But anyway, getting the first feature of the year for his team, Chris Doherty picks up the feature in the Sportsman at Woodhull. Art Goodyear was second. A.J. Costley was third. Bob Bono fourth. Ray Smith rounded out your top 5. 6 through 10 was John Hargrave, Russ Morseman, Brandon Butler, Corey Costa, and Steve Hartman rounded out your top 10 there. Brett Bono coming in at 11th. Dylan Groover was 12th. And the aforementioned Josh Sawyer came home in 14th after picking up the Consi win. So pretty good field of sportsmen out there. And these guys have been running consistent numbers in the high 20s, mid to high 20s all season long. So
it's nice to see some contests.
That's great to see. And, we've had the street stock discussion. Of course, I had that street stock rules discussion blog come out last week, Thursday or Friday. I do think that a lot of the guys that we are accustomed to seeing in the street stock class having moved up to the crate sportsman division. And I really feel like that may be where you've seen a lot of guys. I mean, just off the top of my head, let's look at somebody like a Goodyear, who I know was either street stock or a 4-cylinder car for a while.
Goodyear, 4-cylinder.
Yeah. Now, the Bunos, former street stock guys. Corey Costa won the Empire 100 last year, and still pulls the street stock out to come over to Yates County. So a lot of guys from the street stock division having moved over up into that crate sportsman, and just a great field of cars there. Also over there at Woodhull on Saturday night was the Patriot Sprint Tour, kicking off their America Series and picking up the win. And Clint, this guy was fast right out of the truck. The Cobra, Chuck Hebing, getting his 38th career Patriot Sprint Tour feature win. And he also won his heat race, I wanted to mention. And he was lapping cars on lap 5 of his heat race. Just unbelievable speed out of the Cobra coaches, Wilkins RV 45. Chuck got the win. Robbie Stillwagon, strong run for second place. George Suprick, and it's great to hear George back in the car after his cardiac problems last season, mid to late season there. Good to see George back in the car, finishing third. Tracy Potter came home fourth, and Brad Knabb rounded out the top 5. 6 through 10 was Sean Donath, Jamie Bodo, and I understand that those guys were running within the top 5 and had an issue coming through 3 and 4 and spun, and I believe they also collected the doctor. No, not that doctor. This guy's a real doctor, Steve Collins in the 67 car. He came home 8th, and then rounding out the top 10 was the Juice, Jared Zimbardi in 9th, and Parker Evans. Running the 61 car, rounding out the top 10.
I think that's a name that we'll want to remember for years to come.
That's a name we've heard before, and I'm sure we'll hear again. There's some other notables in the field there within the top 10. Joe Tranka, normally a ESS driver. They were off this weekend. Joe Tranka came home with a 12th place finish. Charlie Donk came home 13th, Kyle Drum 14th, and some folks that we've had on the show in the past. Jeff Quackenbush came home in 22nd. Tough night for Jeff down there. Lap leaders, Hebing 1 through 25. So
Kelly Hebing finished 5th in the B main.
Yeah, Kelly, I was going to mention her as
assume.
well. Yeah, had her car down there, and she came home 5th in the B main. Did want to mention her. We talked about Jeff Quackenbush. He was able to transfer through the B main. Dave Wickham and Scott Kruder also running down there at Woodhull. The doctor, no, not that doctor. Steve Collins took home the 4 laps of Fame Dash. And your heat winners were Sean Donath, George Suprick, and Chuck Hebing. More results here from the Woodhull Raceway. Let's move over to the Joe Wilcox Performance Street Stocks. And, of course, the late models not running that night, so we don't have results for those, obviously. Now we are on to the Street Stocks. Now, I was reading that they had 15 cars for the street stocks down there Saturday night, and I think that's what we had posted on our page. That's what we were reading, but they have on their official press release here 11 cars. But still, good to see the numbers growing a little bit. I know 11 cars is probably not what they want on a weekly basis, but still not bad to get those guys up into double digits. But heat wins taken by Teddy Morseman and Brett Marlott. Taking the feature win, Teddy Morseman getting his first feature win of the year. Brett Marlott second. Gary Archer third. Jared Dennis fourth. And Mark Costa rounded out the top 5. 6 through 10 was Trevor Tompkins, Mike Kerr, Josh Ames, Jeff Smith, and Tracy Dunn. Tracy getting a top 10 finish down there at Woodhull. Let's see. Insinger Performance, 370 modifieds, 20 modifieds in attendance. And, of course, this being the first week that Thunder Mountain was running. So a lot of those drivers got to make that decision. Do we go to Woodhull? Do we go to Thunder Mountain? And picking up his first feature win of the season, Ron Cartwright Jr. taking the win over Billy Van Pelt with another strong run in the his new ride for this year. He came home second. This guy, in finishing third, out of Penn Yan, started out back on the field, drove himself all the way up to third, and I'm telling you, Clint, this guy's going to get a few wins this year. I'm calling that right now. Eric Fisher came home third in the Bully Hill Vineyards ride. Ray Bliss was fourth, and Frank Dunning rounded out your top 5. 6 through 10 was Bobby Davis, Mike Bills, Stacy Jackson, Josh Nabriga, and Casey Pavlik rounding out your top 10. Heat wins there in the Insinger Performance 370 Modifieds. Oh, we lost our... There we go. Kenny Peoples Jr., Bobby Davis, and Ron Cartwright took home heat wins. Now on to the Quad C division. And Clint, help me out with the Quad C division here. I believe this is where they run the combination of the two classes?
Yep, that's exactly right.
Which would be the four-cylinder mini stocks
and the front-wheel drive.
And the front-wheel drives,
yep.
Okay. So, and I'm not positive, but I do believe this was the first Quad C race of the year.
I think there's 4 on the year.
Yeah. So, all in all, with those two divisions, 21 cars in attendance. Heats taken by Gary Baker, Jay McConnell, and Jacob McConnell. And taking the first Quad C feature event of the year, Joe Birdsell taking the win there. Cody Baker second, Carl LeBaron third, Matt Prescott fourth, and Bryant Grant rounded out your top 5. Wes Hoteling, Nate Freeland, Rick Amadon, John Hand, and Travis McDonald rounded out your top 10. There for the Quad C division at Woodhull. Let's see. Their next event is this coming week down there at New York's Toughest Bull Ring. And this week, May 17th, regular Big Six show along with the Mid-State Vintage Antique Cars. White's Repair bringing us the action this week at Woodhull. Now let's move over to the Fulton Speedway. And actually, before we move to Fulton, I'll just touch on Brewerton real quick. I made it out to the Brewerton Speedway Friday night, and my good friend, Mother Nature, intervened once again. Got all of the heat races in, and Clint, this was the fastest I've seen a racetrack try and push a show through. We had all the heat. They started at 7:30, and at 8:25, they were getting ready to roll the first feature out on the night. And they were running 4 divisions.
So they tried.
Did they try? And actually, they actually did get the IMCA features started and got the first 5 laps in. So, of course, that making it a complete show. Now they'll run makeup features staggered over the next couple weeks out there at Brewerton. Some notable things out there from Brewerton in the modified heats. Matt Shepard launched a motor. And when I tell you he launched a motor, he did it right before the start-finish line, and it was like a rocket taking off, the sound. It was unbelievable. And I go over and talk to some of the crew guys as they were trying to figure out what happened, and they said, we blew it up big, parts in the pan. I said, okay. I don't know a lot about cars or motors, I'll be honest, but when they say parts in the pan, Clint, Not good.
Now, were they bringing out a backup car? Or
They were working on bringing out a backup car, but I think they were trying to figure out, what to do, because I'm not sure if that car, you never know what that car is set up for. Is it set up for Brewerton? Is that the car they like to use at Canandaigua? I don't know. But they were also looking at the sky and saying, look, this black cloud heading our way. They probably didn't think that it was going to matter. And it didn't end up mattering. And my neighbor here at the Casa de Pork Chop Studios making an appearance with his motocross bike out there. But let's move on to the Fulton Speedway with their Saturday night's events. And picking up the win there at Fulton on their opening night, Larry White. Really no surprise there. Been a strong runner at both the Brewerton Speedway and the Fulton Speedway. He took down the win there, 35-lap A-Main. Jimmy Phelps was second, Robbie Bellinger third, Tim Courier fourth, and Pat Ward rounded out your top 5. 6 through 10 was Ryan Phelps, Tim Sears Jr., Willie Decker, Tom Sears Jr., and Matt Fink. That rounded out your top 10. Next up, talking about that modified feature, Billy Decker had a throttle return cable stick and went wide open into the turn 3 wall at Fulton. Car is destroyed, absolutely destroyed. If you look around social media, Facebook, Twitter, there's pictures of it out there, and it is, it's it'll be going to the scrapyard. I'm pretty sure of that. But pretty tough wreck there, and Clint, I'll let you scope out the picture that I was able to come up with off of Facebook there. But
oh my goodness,
that car is tore apart. But the thing is they said just bumps and bruises that he got from the accident. But you think about the safer technology in all kinds of race cars now, containment seat, Hans device, and then the car, the chassis doing its job. Billy Decker's able to walk away from that. Sportsman division, 25 laps there. Greg Martin took home the win over Tony Finch the second, Ronnie Davis the third, James Carlson was fourth, and Jason Ochino rounded out your top 5. 6 or 10 was Jeremy Pitcher, Jordan Bennett, Greg Kimball, Beth Schneider, and Mike Button rounded out the top 10. Next up, we have the Napa Late Models. 20 laps. Tim Sears Jr. took the win in the late model division. Alan Fink second. Rick Miller third. Shane Tenace fourth. And AJ Kingsley your top 5. Sounds like a top 5 at a Go Nuclear Late Model Series event there. 6 through 10 were 6th and 7th were two guys we're familiar with, Jason Knowles and Brian Knowles, making a trip up to the Fulton Speedway. Coming home 8th was Laszlo Hollyfield, Brandon Ford 9th, and Brent Biden. Or is that Bolden? Okay, you guys can leave me out hanging here. Okay, that's fine.
I lost it.
Novice Sportsman, 15 laps. Wade Chrisman took home the win there. And in the A Verdi Storage Containers 305 Sprints, Gordy Button took home the win there over John Cunningham, Doug Cruz, and John Thayer. So only 4 drivers listed there for the 305 Sprints.
Looks like Belden, Brett Belden.
Brett Belden, okay, that makes sense. I believe that's a guy that used to run Utica Rome quite a bit, and maybe even Canandaigua. So the 305 Sprints there. Next up, Hilton's Automotive 4-cylinder stocks, 15 laps. Justin Buskey took home the win there. Chuck, wow, these names are a little tough here. Powelchik was second. Keith Zerbo was third. Sam Carista fourth, and Dan Dupras rounded out your top 5. Looks like the race held over from April 25th. Chuck Powelchik took home the win there in the Hilton's Automotive 4-cylinders as well. E&V Energy Novice Sportsman, we mentioned your winner, Wayne Chrisman. The rest of the top 5 was Kyle Keene, Shannon Pitcher, Trevor Lindsay, and Brett Draper rounded out your top 5 there. We're going to go off to a break here on Turn 5. When we come back, more local short track results and a preview for Tuesday night's Race of Champions Modified Tour.
You're listening
to Turn 5. Penn Yan Electronics is the official Radio Shack dealer of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They're also the only Radio Shack dealer in the Penn Yan area. Visit them at 103 Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn Yan for all of your electronics, cable, music, and cell phone needs. Visit Penn Yan Electronics or give them a call, 315-536-7700. Penn Yan Electronics. RaceChaserOnline.com is your home for news, views, and driver interviews. You can catch everything from F1 to IndyCar, NASCAR, short track, and dirt car. You can also find them on Speed 77 Radio Mondays on Shoutcast. Catch Motorsports Madness live at 7 p.m. and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report Thursdays at 7 p.m. Race Chaser Online. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. If you need karaoke for your bar or party, or if you need the photo booth to create memories that'll last a lifetime, give Stu a call at 315-481-9700, or you can find him on Facebook, search Creekside Entertainment, or find him on the World Wide Web, www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com.
Your dirt track home for news, discussion, and driver interviews along with race results. You're listening to Turn 5.
Welcome back, race fans, to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, brought to you weekly by Creekside Entertainment, the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Podcast. Also by Penn Yan Electronics down in Penn Yan, and RaceChaserOnline.com and Speed 77 Radio. Let's get to more results here. Canandaigua Motorsports Park from Saturday night. Big block modified feature. Getting his first win of the season at CMP, Billy Dunn in his 49. Got the win over Justin Hares, AJ Slideways, Alan Johnson, the Hurricane Steve Payne fourth, and Super Matt Shepard rounded out your top 5. 6 through 10 at Canandaigua was Eldon Payne, Gary Tompkins, Mike Bowman, Eric Rudolph, and Matt Billings. Matt Billings getting a 10th place finish at Canandaigua. I got to talk to him Friday at Brewerton, and those guys are planning on running a full season as best they can at Brewerton, as well as Saturdays at Canandaigua. So Matt's a fun guy to stop and talk to, and we'll have him on the show again here soon. Heat wins were taken by Dave Rauscher, the Big Show, Mike O'Brien, and Vinny Vitale, who also got a heat win Friday night at Brewerton. Consolation winner was our guy here from Penn Yan, Derek Pozziadlo, in the Penn Yan Express Stop 21 car. Safety Awareness Solution Sportsman, Dave Marchicelli getting the win on Saturday night over the Iceman, Steve Gray. Ricky Newton came home third. Tyler Meeks fourth, and Rob Bussey rounded out the top 5. 6 through 10 was James Henry, Paul Guerri, Eric Giguere, Kane Bristol, and A.J. Lloyd. And not a good night for the back row gang. You see a lot of those guys, Matt Guerri, Nick Guerri, Frankie, and then also Bubba had a bad night. Ray Hendershot struggled as well, and
it was good to see Eric Giguere back after his hard hit.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. It's good to see him back up in the top 10 after the hit he took a few weeks ago. And Kevin Ridley destroyed a car in the heat race. He came across the finish line with Ray Hendershot in their heat, and just one of those things. After the race is over, they got into one. Nothing intentional, but contact was made between Ridley and Hendershot, and Kevin's car went over 5 or 6 times from what one of the crew members told me, and that car is destroyed. They've got parts and pieces to try and rebuild, but they're going to need a new frame, so it looks like Kevin may be out for a few weeks here while they try and get either a used or a new frame for his 20X ride. So sorry to hear about that. Heard he had a sore shoulder, and hope it heals up good. Kevin's been on the show with us before, and hope that those guys can get things pieced back together to get him back out on the track, because he's a threat to win every night he's on the track. And again, nothing intentional there. We've seen a few posts from Ray over the weekend. Ray's just sick about the whole deal, and those guys will be back out soon. Dig Safely New York 305 Race Saver Sprint feature finish, and getting her first career 305 win at CMP, Alicia Ruggles. And what a Mother's Day present for her mom. Alicia and Daryl took home a 1-2 finish there in the 305s. Steve Dole was third. Will Glover was fourth, and Steve Glover with a fourth and fifth place finish there for the Glovers, running out the top five. Don Kuhn, Nick Cooper, Josh I, Jonathan Preston, Lance Doucette, and
rounds out the top 10.
Lance Doucette rounded out the top 10 there for the 305s. Heat wins were Daryl Ruggles and Nick Cooper in the Great Clips ride there for Coop. Parts Plus Pro Street Stocks, and continuing his winning ways there, Pete Stefanski. That's another guy. Anytime that guy rolls through the gate, he's got a chance to win. Steve Paseric in that car that you were talking about, Clint. He came home second Saturday night over Dave Rogers, Mike Welch, and Blaine Smith. Rounded out the top five. 6 through 10 was Bill Weller. Nate Daggett over at CMP. Ron Greek and Charles Harvey rounded out your top 10. So cool to see Nate running over there at Canandaigua. I know they had run some races there in the past, and good to see those guys over there. Heat winner there in the Pro Streets was Pete Stefanski. Pure Stock feature finish. Good run for Vance Vanderwall, picking up the win on Saturday night over Mr. Smooth, Mark Manutlo. CJ Guerri, who has a win on the year, was third. Roger Bush fourth, and Eric Chapman rounded out the top five. 6 through 10 was Brad Rathbum Jr., Jared Labarge, Sean Lloyd, and Jeremy Nunez. Heat winner there was Mark Manutlo.
Johnny Nunez.
Sorry.
Jenny.
Jenny. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Johnny? Mm-hmm. My bad. Jenny. New Legend Sportsman feature finish. Gus Gilhart took home the win. James Sweeting, Todd Haywood,
Austin Fugel,
and Tim
Baker.
Tim Baker rounded out your top five. And that is your results from over there at Canandaigua Motorsports Park. We've also got some results from the Utica Rome Speedway running their races on Sunday night. They had twin 20s on the dock there, and picking up the first twin 20 was Willie Decker in the 1X. Mike Bowman was second. Tim Fuller was third. Larry White fourth, and Stuart Friesen rounded out the top five in feature number one. Now these were twin 20s. Matt Shepard, Danny Varon, Pat Ward, Mike Mahaney, and Ryan Phelps rounded out your top 10 in feature number one. Move it over to feature number two, and Pat Ward took the win there in the second twin 20. Mike Mahaney second, Matt Shepard third, Danny Varon fourth, and Willie Decker, who won feature race number one, took home the fifth place finish there. 6 through 10 was Larry White, Peter Britton, Billy Decker, Tim Fuller, and Matt Janzik was your 6 through 10 finishers in feature race number two there at Utica Rome. NASCAR Whelen All-American Series Sportsman finish, 20 laps. Jeremy Vunk took home the win over A.J. Philbeck, Claude Hutchings Jr., Jack Miller, Heath Carney rounded out your top five. Steve Way, Mike Walton, Andrew Ferguson, Craig Page, and Randy, Chantel, maybe?
Yep.
Rounded out your top 10. And then the Pro Stock finish, 20 laps there. I'm sorry?
Craig Pope, not Craig Page.
Oh, Craig Pope. Okay. I got to tell you, these results on some of these websites are a little difficult to read We've got gray on a white background, and now we've got yellow on a black background, which you would think would be good, but the font's got to be the right size.
Right, the font's pretty small.
The font's a little small here, so I apologize.
Yeah, and you're only 3 feet away from it, so I can understand why you can't read it.
Yeah. Pro stock finish there at Utica Rome. Mark Effner took home the win over Tommy Denton, Chris Carr, Brett Bolden, and Bill Knapp. AJ Digsby, Ed Ostrander, Chris Cunningham, Corey Locke, and
Dana
Kamenga. I have heard that name at Utica Rome before. That rounded out your top 10 there. Then in the pure stocks, Ron Hawker took home the win there over Ricky Brood, Chuck Cushman Jr.,
Rob Thyme,
Frank Hyatt, Bill Mason, Tim Janzik, Jim Thomas rounded out your top 10 there at Utica Rome. So that's your finish from Utica Rome on Sunday night. We've also got some results from the Shangri-La 2 Motor Speedway down in Tioga Center. Clint, we're going to be trying to hit this racetrack on Sunday, hopefully for the ROC Asphalt Modified Tour. And sweeping both of the Sunoco Modified features there at Shang 2, TJ Petrobowski. No, that was Shamung. Good grief.
Tony Hanbury won at Shangri-La.
Tony Hanbury, thank you very much.
Mr. Lightning.
Mr. Lightning took home the win there. And
followed by Paul Johnson, Nick Morich, and TJ Zacharias, and Chris Clemens.
There you go, your top 5 for the sportsmen. Pudgy's Pizza Street Stock Division, 20 laps. Glenn Lapolis took the win there over Gary No, Bill Frisbee, Jason Duke, and then looks like their other driver, RJ Zacharias, was not able to start the feature there. Jason Duke Sr. took home the heat win. And then Gene Purvis took home the win in the 4-cylinder stock division over Alan Blackwell and John Maynard. So this Sunday, Shang 2 down in Tioga Center, New York, they'll have the ROC Asphalt Modifieds down there. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll have a quick preview for Yates County Speedway tomorrow night.
You're listening
to Turn 5. Penn Yan Electronics is the official Radio Shack dealer of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They're also the only Radio Shack dealer in the Penn Yan area. Visit them at 103 Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn Yan for all of your electronics, cable, music, and cell phone needs. Visit Penn Yan Electronics or give them a call, 315-536-7700. Penn Yan Electronics. RaceChaserOnline.com is your home for news, views, and driver interviews. You can catch everything from F1 to IndyCar, NASCAR, short track, and dirt car. You can also find them on Speed 77 Radio Mondays on Shoutcast. Catch Motorsports Madness live at 7 p.m. and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report Thursdays at 7 p.m. Race Chaser Online. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. If you need karaoke for your bar or party, or if you need the photo booth to create memories that'll last a lifetime, give Stu a call at 315-481-9700, or you can find him on Facebook, search Creekside Entertainment, or find him on the World Wide Web, www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com.
Your dirt track home for news, discussion, and driver interviews along with race results. You're listening to Turn 5.
Welcome back, race fans, to the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. And we're going to close out the show tonight. Clint, I really think we've talked to the Yates County Speedway ROC show up as much as we can. Hope race fans come out tomorrow night. It's going to be a big show out there with ROC Modifieds and sportsman class as well. Let's look over our picks from last week out at Kansas.
There is something that I do want to say about the ROC race. One, you can probably look for local competitor Brady Fultz running with the ROC Modifieds.
Yep, I would look for that.
Come out and cheer our local guy on.
Yep.
And also I want to mention that there's incentives out there for the first Woodhall regular, the first Skyline, or not Skyline,
Penn Can
and 5 Mile Point.
Yep.
I think there's incentives for all those guys for first regulars across the line.
Yeah.
So our producers here is going to bring up the weather, and because I know Steven wants to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about weather.
Steve wants to talk about the
I
weather.
looked over the qualifying results, and none of us got a bonus point for.
None of us got knockout qualifying?
None of us got knockout points, so we all stunk up the show there. And then as far as our picks and results go, and guys, I got to tell you, this was a weird race. Like, it just, Harvick dominated, but the rest of it was just, the race was just odd. I mean, back and forth and jockeying for position at the end. Jeff Gordon has a stellar pit stop, goes and gets a win. Now he'll be in the chase for this year. And as far as our picks go, I had Jimmy Johnson, who came home 9th, and that was the best finish amongst all of us. Matt Kenseth, Brad had Matt Kenseth, so he'll get second place points. And again, daddy to be Clint Bouye,
boo,
just says, you know what, Clint, stick it in your shorts, my friend.
Finished 24th or 25th or something like that.
Yeah, he was down there a ways, 23rd. So I gained a few more points on Clint. That might even bring us to a tie.
No, I think I was up 3.
Okay. Well, we'll double check all of that.
Tie. You're right.
Yeah. So that'll put us at a tie. Tied at what do we have here? Yep. That'll put us a tie at 28 points. Heading into the 2 weeks here at Charlotte. Brad's only 7 points behind us, and as we can see, I was 7-8 points behind Clint here a few weeks ago, so Brad can catch up real quick here. Going into the All-Star race, we decided that since how they don't get points, we're not going to get points either. However, we are going to put a $5 wager down, winner take all for the elusive $15, and All-Star race. We're going to give Clint first pick. He finished 3rd this week, so let's see who you got for the All-Star race.
I'm going to go out on a limb. Charlotte, he's pretty good there. I'm going with Jimmy Johnson.
Okay.
Boo.
Even though they haven't gotten on track at all this year.
It's a perfect race to get on track. It's for all the marbles. You throw it out there. Chad Knaus is one of the best in the business, though I know my dad's going to give me grief for saying that.
Okay.
It's just a matter of time before it starts to click. And why not at Charlotte, a track that they've dominated for years?
Okay. Brad, you're going to get second pick. Remember, $15 on the line here.
$15.
All right, Brad picks David Reagan. Okay, Steven. All right.
Brad says, I'm going to go with Cole Witt.
Are we betting on the first person to crash or win?
To win.
Oh.
Winner take all.
I'm going to go with Kyle Larson.
Whoa. All right. That's a good pick. I don't know if I'd take him to win, but it's a good pick.
Well, he doesn't have to win to win the money.
Well, that's true.
You
He's
know,
got to have the best finish.
When Jeff Gordon goes into turn 1 and takes out Jimmy Johnson and the rest of the field, and
All right.
no, that probably shouldn't happen.
Well, my pick, I'm down to 2 guys, and these are both proven guys at Charlotte. I want to go with Rowdy Busch, but my head says Casey Kane, even though he's not had a great season.
Wow.
Casey Kane's been pretty good at Charlotte as well. Not Jimmy Johnson type numbers. But in the end, I'm going to go with my heart, and my heart says the best finish is going to be Rowdy Busch. So I'll go with Kyle Busch in the 18, and it pains me to take him. But if you got to give me one driver for one race for $15, I'll take Kyle Busch.
Yeah, not a bad pick either.
So next week's show, we'll be picking for the Coca-Cola 600. Kurt Busch doing the double there. We'll be out at the Yates County Speedway taking in all the action. It's going to be a big show out there. Make sure to get yourself out there to the races. Weather forecast for tomorrow, we'll see. Make sure to stay tuned to the Turn 5 page. We'll have all of the updates.
Ooh.
Yeah, chance of rain is looking pretty good, but, we'll just see how it goes. Mother Nature's not been kind to us at all over the course of the last couple weeks. And, on a big race day like tomorrow, why would we expect it to be any different? Be sure to take all the kids out to the races as well. We'll see you out there at Yates County Speedway.
Now we're gonna have something at the end of the week, right?
We're gonna have something out at the end of the week. We're gonna have interviews and a race breakdown. I'll be here in studio to put that out. Also coming out in the next day or two is going to be all of our interviews from opening night at Yates County, as well as a separate file for all of the interviews we did at the Chemung Speedrome for the ROC Asphalt Modified Tour. So all of that stuff coming out later this week. A lot of stuff for you to tune in and listen to. Make sure to subscribe and rate us on iTunes. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Check out turn5.podbean.com. And keep up with our Facebook page and our Twitter account. A little more active now with our Twitter account. We got Twitter and Facebook linked up, so when we send out a tweet, it goes right to the Facebook page. That's at Turn5 Podcast. Be sure to tweet us, Facebook us, whatever you want to do. Just don't put us in the wrong. Until next week's edition of Turn 5, you're listening to Turn 5.